All right. I wonder if chat, if you're still there, please let me know. Tamlyn, say something for me. I just want to make sure that.
Hello.
Perfect.
How's that sound?
Perfect. It's recording, so we're good. All right. Hey. Everything went to hell for a second, but it's fixed. Not one of those normal, everything went to hell. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and switch this over and get us live and start talking. Just more like burger. Thanks, Dylan. I'm going to get us started and get us on with the show.
Sounds good.
Today is December 14th, 2018. This is episode 102 of Maelstrom Radio.
Maelstrom Radio.
Press start.
With your hosts, Flatus and Shinter.
Oh, damn!
And welcome everybody to Maelstrom Radio. My name is Flatus. With me, normally Shin's here. He's not here. Everything's broken. And the camera's off for some reason. And I will fix that right now. But normally Shin's here. He's out of town. He's visiting family. This is probably why everything's gone to hell. I blame Shin. Everybody just blame Shin. Because normally that's probably the best thing we could do while I fix things. So, all right, but today you can't really see him. I have a host with me that's been my host before and other things, and I'm going to introduce him as the reason why I've been doing podcasting now for I don't know how many years, and all because I answered some Reddit post about EverQuest Next. Tamlyn, who I will get on screen momentarily, but Tamlyn, introduce yourself while I fix this camera.
Hey, Tamlyn, and as Flatus had said, I started podcasting with him back in 2013 in a little show called Evercast that covered EverQuest 3 and then Landmark, and then we opened it up to all games in a little podcast called Loot Table, and then after that we kind of folded that up, and Flatus moved on to Maelstrom Radio full time, and I just went back to playing games full time.
Yeah, that's about right. That's pretty much it. I mean, I had started Maelstrom Radio, I think, during Loot Table.
Yeah. We started Loot Table, I think it was March of 2015.
It was. We had sunsetted Evercast, and we relaunched as Loot Table, and during my Loot Table days I was like, man, I'd love to do a podcast that was focused on one thing I was playing. Like, I like that we were doing the show that was broad gaming, but I was like, it'd be great if we did the focus thing, and I did the focus thing, and then all of a sudden I was like, it'd be great if I did a show that was broad gaming. And here we are. It's just we didn't change the name this time. It's the only difference. Listen, sometimes you don't change the wheel.
Maybe we should have just stayed with Evercast and kept on going.
Just kept going. It's the cast that never ended. Boy. But now everything's fixed magically. So yeah, no, it was quite a time. But we do have some gaming news that we want to talk about here. So I'm going to go through these fairly quickly because we have a lot of stuff to talk about later on. 9 new games will be added during the Xbox Winter of Arcade. So if you're like me and have an Xbox sitting there, I have an Xbox One X, I have the fancy boy that's got, I don't know, 20,000 teraflops according to whatever Microsoft says. I don't know what a teraflop is, but it's got a lot of them, and apparently that's good for gaming. But during the Winter of Arcade, they're going to have Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, Mutant Year Zero, Subnautica, Ashen, Hello Neighbor, Hide and Seek, Kingdom 2 Crowns, Desert Child, Below, and Donut County. These are all being released through December. Some of these are already out. So if you're looking at getting some arcade games, if you're getting an Xbox for Christmas or picking up an Xbox for a loved one this Christmas, some of these are actually really great titles. Ashen I've been playing because it's out already and it's actually really good, and I would suggest getting it. So, and I just picked up Subnautica for free. So
that's what I was gonna say. Subnautica is also a really good game, and you can get it for free if you get the Epic launcher, whatever they're calling their launch.
Epic. I'm gonna say Epic launcher. Build your own PC game bundle for $5. Green Man Gaming is offering you a chance to build your own gaming bundle for $5. That's 5 games for $5. Some of the games have already been sold out. Some of the games have not. So this is your chance to grab some pretty good PC games for cheap. You can get not newer, brand new stuff, but I mean, $5. $5 is pretty good for gaming. Let's see. Geralt of The Witcher is coming to Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World is slowly becoming the new Smash Bros. By being a crossover game. I did not see coming, and I'm pretty excited. It just means Shin and I have to go play more Monster Hunter.
Isn't that the one they added the girl from Horizon Zero Dawn to it? Yeah, it's going to be the PS4, all of their exclusive titles characters.
They've added a lot because they've added Final Fantasy 14 to it. They did a crossover Final Fantasy 14. They added Behemoth. They've added now Geralt. They've added who else? Street Fighter. Street Fighter came to the game for some reason. Just everybody's coming to this game. I don't even know why. Let's see. Atlas, the new pirate MMO from the creators of Ark. Did you see this? Did you see the news on this?
I'm looking it up right now because I'm like, oh.
It is. I don't know how to describe this game. It is a mix between pirates. All right, so Sea of Thieves meets Ark meets Landmark, I guess is sort of what I can consider it to be a little bit. It's got like fantasy elements. There's like it's got a fantasy setting, so there are fantasy monsters in it, but there is ships and private servers and rule sets that you can create just like the Ark servers, but it's also an MMO and it's a massive world you can explore. I'm excited to see. This is small scale MMO, but niche, but outside the box because you can get your own server. Okay. I feel like we're doing an episode of Evercast.
Well, and what is it? Dual Universe just wrapped up their first not open beta, their first alpha testing for their Kickstarter backers, and I don't know if you've talked about it before, but Dual Universe is another voxel based building sci-fi MMO light. it's not going to be an MMO in the traditional sense of NPCs and quests, but it's going to be like there's no private servers. It's just everybody is on one server building things out of voxels.
We've seen this done before.
Uh-huh.
She's seen this magic happen. The new Smash update from the creator. Oh no, I'm missing up my things. The new Smash update is coming out next week, and delete replays. So we will have the link on our when we post this to the site. How you can back up your replays so that you don't lose them when the new Smash update comes out. So if you're hoarding your replays, that is. I'm not. So. The game of the year, according to the Game Awards, was God of War, which is cool. Red Dead Redemption did not sweep up the Game Awards, and God of War took home a title, which I'm kind of happy about, because God of War, I have it, and it looks fun, and I want to play it.
I think that Red Dead Redemption, it just wasn't out long enough.
Agreed. I agree. I just don't think it was out long enough. It did sweep up a lot of like best voice acting, best music. It got a lot of wins. But good on them. I still think God of War should have won best voice acting. I mean, the guy who does Kratos is just massive, and it's just boy.
Yeah. I haven't heard a whole lot from Red Dead Redemption. And that tells me that God of War should have won, because I've seen the voice actor panels and really paid attention to it, but nothing from Red Dead Redemption. So
yeah, I'm excited because it's they took the god of war out of Greek mythology and put him into the how do I say that? Like Viking Norse mythology. And I thought that was such a cool thing. And they changed the game style completely. They made it more adventure-esque instead of like hack and slash sort of stuff. Like it's more RPG. And then it is what it was before on the old consoles, where it was just like a hack and slash button masher. So great storytelling still, but a different type, much darker. I dig it. Magic the Gathering Esports, oddly enough, Wizards of the Coast is starting up a Magic the Gathering esports thing, like not a team, but like just esports.
Which is weird, because they already had a competitive circuit scene for the card game. So really all they did was take it and they relaunched it as an arena game, and then they're backing the arena game with a massive prize pool.
Mm-hmm. Which good, because I mean a lot of people want to be able to take Magic on the go and play it. And I beta tested it. I have the Magic the Gathering arena. It's really good. It's like actually like probably one of my favorite. And I think I even said Evercast days, like if there was a good Magic the Gathering game that could beat Hearthstone, I'd play that. It's here. It took a long time, but it's here.
What, wasn't there one before, but it was kind of not that good?
It was based on the buy to play versions, like, so they based it on that, and the buy to play versions are really good, but they nickel and dimed you on that one. This one doesn't feel this is more of the Hearthstone, like you can play it and still like get cards, but you can also give money to get cards. So it's like but it's fine. Like I feel like I'm getting something out of it either way I play. Like I'm playing through tutorial, I'm getting cards. I'm doing this, I can get a card. Like there's challenges, I can get card. Like, so I feel like there's more for me to do to get where I want to be in the game, where versus like the other one was like, well, if you just don't have this deck, you're not going to play. Like you're going to have to buy the deck. And instead I can just build it up, and I'm okay with that. Blizzard cancels Heroes of the Storm, HGC, Heroes Global Championship, and Heroes of the Dorm. I saw there's news that they actually removed some team members from Heroes of the Storm and put them on a new team. They didn't say what they were working on, but just that they were moving them over to something new, or at least new positions within the company.
To them. Yeah, so Blizzard said, since BlizzCon to now, they've said that they've never had as many unannounced games and projects in work. And it sounds like they just moved those people off of Heroes of the Storm and moved them to those other projects, or move them to projects that we do know about. Like if you're an animation artist, you you can work on any team, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can work on any team. I mean, you could probably work on a game for mobile.
Yeah. This is the first time though we've seen, especially like a company at Blizzard level, like fold up an entire competitive scene. And going back to our Evercast days, Flatus, weren't you the one that was saying that like make your game fun to play, and if there's a competitive scene, it'll develop on its own. But if you push it,
yes, I did. Isn't it funny that they were pushing this and now it's just folded? Overwatch came out, didn't have a competitive scene. It became extremely popular because it was fun to play and the competitive scene grew around it. The opposite happened with the one they wanted to try to make the competitive one. I still stand by that statement. Make your game fun first. The competitive, like it happens all the time. It happens with everything. Look at what's the car one with the soccer ball?
Rocket League.
Rocket League came out, no vision of it becoming an esport, right? Like they just said, hey, we're just gonna mix, and they actually came out with that game once before. It just didn't do well, so they sharpened it up and actually updated the graphics and everything, and it did really well the second time. It then became an esport. So it's entirely possible to do this. Just Blizzard just is somehow going about it the wrong way. Hopefully they've learned from this.
Well, I think that they built Overwatch with the intention of producing an esport, because a lot of the spectator interface things that you'd like to see, they had like do they have saved replay? I know that there's a lot of stuff that they borrowed from StarCraft 2 that allows for like a tournament scene to develop around Overwatch. All they had, but they knew that game was good. They knew that game was good and that people were going to be playing.
They did, and nothing was in the market for a long time. Like, also, Heroes of the Storm came out in a saturated market where Overwatch had no competition, really. I mean, Team Fortress 2 was its only competition that was out for years, and there was no updates to that thing, so. Discord undercuts Epic, which undercut Steam. So, if you've not been paying attention, Epic Games came out with their own game launcher and they undercut Steam by a good healthy amount, and then Discord was like, we ain't having none of that. So they, and I don't know if you've been paying attention, but if you don't use Discord, which I'm pretty sure you do, they've launched a game store, but they were really quiet about it. They didn't really make a big deal about it, but it's there. You can have access to it. It's right there right now, and they've definitely undercut Epic. And they're offering better payouts for developers, which is at 90%. And they only wanted 10% to keep their operating costs for their servers and stuff like that. And they said the reason for that is Nitro, which is the service is $10. It's kind of like Netflix for indie games. So you can have access to all the games for $10, which is not a bad deal. And you get all the bonus and boons and extras that come with the bells and whistles of Nitro anyway, like animated GIFs and emotes and emojis from other servers. It's a bunch of stuff. So, what do you, I mean, I don't see it as, if you can let me play with my friends on any platform. Like I could play online with friends on Discord games. If I could buy a game on Discord and it lets me play with my friends on Steam, thumbs up from me. I don't care. I don't care where I get my games. If it's a better deal and the developer's getting a better cut, I'll buy it there. But I just want to play with my friends. So figure that out and we'll talk. A little bit of community news. I just want to remind folks that, yes, Maelstrom Radio is new. It's no longer a Final Fantasy XIV podcast. It is a general gaming podcast now. But remember, the show is mainly about you. It's one of the reasons why we have Tamlyn here. We will be talking to Tamlyn about something specific. The show is about you. And that what that means and how you can help is that you share us with your friends in other gaming communities, not just Final Fantasy XIV. If you have friends in WoW, if you have friends in Overwatch, if you have friends playing Epic Games, Fortnite, Minecraft, whatever the game is, we want to talk to them if they're doing something interesting and cool, especially now since Fortnite's adding a sort of building map editor that can allow people to get their maps put in as game types in the game. I want to see that happen. I want to talk to somebody that's doing that.
Speaking of Fortnite, you see that Daybreak announced PlanetSide Arena.
I didn't add that in the news, but I did. I didn't know what it did.
You know, I forgot that. I overlooked that. but see, they're going 250 versus 250, and so it's a team-based battle royale, and I've been waiting for like a really team-based shooter of that scale for a long time now, and I mean, like, I'm hoping Daybreak can pull.
I hope they could pull it off too. They did just have layoffs as well. It's weird that they were like layoffs and all of a sudden game announcement. And I was like, ooh, okay. So that's good news. At least they're pushing out something new. I you know, if they ever announce like an EverQuest 3, maybe one day I'll just do a reunion show here and get the gang back together.
That'd be epic.
So besides sharing us, share us with your folks, doing something cool in other games. Also review us on iTunes, Twitch, and other shows. Give us likes, follows, all that stuff. It helps. Those reviews on iTunes definitely help. So please, we will continue to succeed if you help us succeed. So
yeah, and I'm going to get back to that point about reviews, follows, likes, all of that when we start talking esports.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of, good segue. So I know who you are. You kind of give us a little bit of a rundown, and I know we have some people just joined recently. But to my audience, you're the new guy. Like they don't know who you. I know who you are. I've known you for years, but who? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So one of the things that, like, beyond just gaming, and of course Vanguard, the Saga of Heroes MMO that I talk about in almost every single show, one of the things that I'm super hyped about that like will get me, doing the little dance in my chair is esports. Along with traditional sports, if there's some tournament on, I've normally got it on one of my monitors so that I can follow along with it. And in the last, I think it's been 6 months because we did one tournament in the spring. I've joined an organization that does community WoW tournaments, and I'm sporting the jersey now. I don't know if you can see it. It's Resurgent Esports, and it has a killer logo.
It is. It's a great logo,
and I'll link it in a minute here. So yeah, that's what I've been. I've been doing my own gaming and my own stuff, but I've also been helping out with them, trying to get not only WoW Arena 3v3, but one of the big things is that I think we started last week, and tonight right now is our second week. We're doing rated battlegrounds. That's 6v6 battlegrounds instead of just Arena is what do they call it, deathmatch, where you kill a guy or kill a character and they don't come back. Rated battlegrounds is more of PvP, which is objective based. Like you could still kill everybody on the team and still lose because you're not going after battleground objectives.
Speaking of just the esports itself, like we like back on our show when we did Evercast, like esports was like, no, I wouldn't say it was budding, it was there, but did you imagine it would blow up? Like we always said on our show, like, man, esports is going to be the new big thing. Like we would constantly say that, but did you think it would blow up that much in the short amount of time? Because it really, I mean, from the time we started Evercast to now, it has exploded.
I kind of saw that it was coming. And a couple of my anecdotes about why I saw it coming is because, like, when I was growing up, it was your traditional your T sports, right? Baseball, football, basketball, and if you weren't watching it, you were maybe going down to the park or the YMCA or joining a rec league and playing, like in a softball league. And it seemed that people weren't doing that as often. It no longer became as common. And what were we doing instead? What were we doing as entertainment? We were playing video games. And so it just seemed like naturally, as the people that grew up playing video games, not wanting to play baseball, not following along with baseball. Well, what are they doing now? They're playing the same video game or other video games. Why not start a community leagues? Why not, form a team with your friends and just play for fun, and then play for competition, and then register for tournaments as a competitive team and see how far you can get, because those are all things that are really exciting.
I'm waiting for like LAN parties at the Y.
You've seen it like at universities that they're advertising not only their traditional sports teams, but and we just built our esports lab or esports room where you can, you don't have to have your own computer equipment. You can check out, register your team, and we're going to compete at this time, and form a team at the school and compete in the school leagues, and they're providing the space and the the equipment that you need to do it.
I know we've often said, I think you and I have both said before, like I think we were born at the wrong time. just
I'm waiting for the over 40 leagues.
I'm like, I just need to find like the late 20s to early 30s teams, and I'll be like, I'm in there. Get me in there. I just need to be really good at a card game, like just Magic the Gathering Arena. I just need to be really good at that.
And that was one of the other things is that, we see a lot of players that are young playing Hearthstone, but that's one of the games where I think that age is only an advantage, because traditionally speaking, younger people have less responsibilities, so they have more time to like really focus in a competitive game like that. But that isn't to say that those skills won't diminish over time. So Hearthstone actually pretty much has a healthy, longevity to it if you want to get into a sport that will last a long time. Whereas, it's just the nature of aging is your reflexes slow down. And in Twitch-based games, it's gonna be something that slows you down.
I'm waiting for the retired old, like the 65-year-old who's retired playing Hearthstone on Twitch. And then he's really good and gets into competitions, and like I would root for him. I'm like, get him, Grandpa. Be my favorite.
Sign me up.
All right. So you said you were with Resurgence. So like, what does that mean? Like the time between like the ending of Loot Table and now, like, was it like, did you instantly jump into esports, or was that? I know you were watching. I think we were always staying in contact with each other, so I know it's always been on your radar.
I actually wanted to get involved in Heroes of the Storm and like helping out in that competitive scene, but it just didn't seem like I could find a good fit for myself. And then it was actually Angela Kylest and I both looked at Resurgent, and we liked what they were doing. And I actually volunteered just to be so what I do for Resurgent is I'm a tournament admin, and one of the I am the liaison between the stream team and the players, right? So how do I put this? So that I'm interacting with the players and getting them ready to compete in the game, while at the same time communicating with the stream team, the people that are streaming it, casting it, hosting the game, stuff like that, while they are interacting with an audience and making a nice, presentable video production out of it. But they don't need to get necessarily into the nitty gritty of like dealing with the players. And so I'm basically like helping the players understand what their choices are, and then communicating those choices back to the production team so that they can put that out to the audience. And I've done that for 3 tournaments now. We did one in the summer, one right before BlizzCon, and another one that escapes me. I think that was just our Monday night tournament that I helped out with, which was the 3rd one.
That's really cool.
Right. So, and the reason why I love this, right, is because actually going to NASCAR, right? When you watch NASCAR, and funny enough, you can listen to the broadcast and the casters talk about the NASCAR, right? And this is really, I don't understand it, but other people do. They enjoy it, tracks, cars going around a track. But one of the things that you can do with NASCAR is you can pay to listen into the team radio conversation instead of the casters. So you can hear the pit crew talking to the driver. And I always thought that was really cool. And when I'm watching these PvP tournaments, I'm like, man, I'd love to be able to listen to what they're thinking about, what they're talking about, in the middle of a competition. And so as a tournament admin, one of the things I'm able to do is I volunteer so that I can have that close proximity to the players, like, because I present them with the choice and then I get to listen to them talk about what choice they want to make going into the next match. And it's like, you don't get that as a viewer.
That is so interesting, and I would love that, like, if they did that for esports, like
Oh,
but my only idea would be is like you'd have to really make sure that like the other teams couldn't get that audio, or some have fed the info fed to them, because it instantly would like crush the other team out.
yeah, Overwatch does it, but they do it like at the end of the match. They'll go like, "Oh, hey, did you see that killer play? Well, let's go in and listen on the team communication."
That's
So that you
that's
can
cool.
it's basically a replay of what just happened, but instead of hearing the casters talk over it, you hear the players calling out the actions as they're going through that play.
That's really cool. So what is it like working with or being part of like an esports team? Like, what is that like?
A lot of meetings. What went well,
As you
what
do.
went poorly. Always looking for improvement. But I will tell you, one of the things that we're finding out, right, is because there's no guidebook. Like, how do you grow? How do you put on a production? How do you sponsor a team? There's no books that you can go read that tell you how to do it. There's no guidebook. So we're learning it all on the fly. And one of the, like you mentioned, your community, those likes, those follows, those, comments, reviews, everything, those are gold.
Yeah, that
Because
chat.
when you go to and ask a company to sponsor you, that's what they want. Like, well, what are your metrics?
Just in case you all don't know what a metric is, it's what Flatus looks at on Saturdays and weeps a little. Like, how do I grow this better?
Yeah, and it's so, like, seriously, if you like a show, or if you like even a video game, a developer, any esport team, hit that follow on Twitter, Instagram, whatever they have, because it helps them out so much.
Yeah, and I think we've been saying this. I think ever since Evercast, I think I was always telling our like the audience then, and as audience changed and everything, I was always reiterating the most important part of this is you all. It's you out there, because we can turn on the mics. There could be 3 people listening. We would still do this. But the fact that you have that word of mouth and saying, hey, listen, like they're talking about interesting things. That's how Evercast blew up. Honestly, I mean, we were one of the first on the scene, and that helped. But I think part of the reason was that we kept telling people, no, go share us with other people, and people kept coming in, which was an interesting aspect of the show. It's like, it's how we got to where we were with that show. And it's the same with, and you're right, it's the same with anything else. If you're doing anything at all, it's just, if your social media presence, your Twitch presence, your anything, YouTube, those likes, those thumbs ups, those follows, all are that's a physical thing that you can point to and say, this is why you should be giving us support. And that helps. And I didn't think about it in the esports aspect, but that helps like a growing team. Like, hey, listen, we're getting a lot of recognition, not only but by people wanting to watch us, but like even like small time companies like, hey, Humble is following us and giving support now. Like, you can start making those bigger asks, like, hey, Corsair, can we get a couple of mice for our players? We're getting like 1,000 views of stream or whatever the case is. And
Exactly. And honestly, as the world of marketing evolves, companies are always looking for, like, what gets us recognized. And so what they've come to realize is that it works. That if you have a large Twitter follower, it works. There now Twitch is this huge platform for marketing. Since we're talking about esports and T-sports, it's also worth pointing out that the NFL was looking for a home for its Thursday night football games. And they did Twitter for a year, and guess where they're at now? You can watch NFL Thursday night football games for free on Twitch. Why? Because that's where young people are watching. And so the NFL realizes the importance that they can't ignore the presence there. They have to be there. Otherwise, they're going to have a whole generation that grows up without football.
I completely agree. I hate to say it, and it's been like yet again a short time, but we were kind of on the Wild West days of Twitch. Like it was early. I remember a time where we had massive numbers drawing in. I had like when I streamed under the Flattest name, there were easily 80 people watching me do dumb crap in like just digging a straight down into a hole in Landmark. And if I knew what I knew,
right.
If I knew now what I knew then, it'd be a different ball game for all of us. So it's such an interesting thing to like look at and point at, but it's not even football. Like look at like, I can't remember, it was like 3-4 months ago. I saw like wrestling. I saw there was I was looking through games because sometimes I like to like watch like lower key games. And sometimes cooking. I like to see this when people are cooking. Like, I just don't know why, because the people do that. And I saw it was like wrestling, and I clicked on it. Sure enough, like I can't remember, like one of the weirder, like, but still like big. Like I remember the name, like it was up there. I think they've been on like WWE before, but I just like Extreme, like whatever wrestling is on Twitch. And then low, like backyard wrestling's on Twitch.
No. What's crazy is that, Warcraft, their South American team, teamed up with the Mexican wrestling. I forget the Mexican. So basically, it was Mexican wrestlers doing their traditional wrestling, but they decided whether they were wrestling for the Horde or the Alliance, and the South American World of Warcraft community team sponsored it as kind of like a image, public relation event. And so they were they were wrestling with like Horde logos on, and it was on Twitch.
That's amazing. I kind of want to YouTube this and see if I can find videos of it.
I'll have to see if I can find it for you.
That's pretty great. Real quick in chat, Susan Sprinkle, big ups to DiGiorno. Yep, that's right. DiGiorno follows us on Twitch. Because if it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. They don't sponsor me, but I will take free pizzas. So, curses, I was going to say YouTube's. No, it's here. All right, so Paul Middle sent me some questions. Paul Middle is a viewer of ours. He also does his own Final Fantasy 14 podcast called Move Go Around. But Paul Middle asks, with esports growing, what do you guys think about it coming to MMORPGs like Final Fantasy 14, with the Feast tournament and WoW with PvP tournaments? You wanna take I'll let you answer maybe the WoW aspect of this.
My answer yesterday would have been different than my answer today. My answer today is that because Blizzard was the main driving force of Heroes of the Storm, HGC, and they pulled the rug out from underneath an entire professional ecosystem. And so yesterday I would have said, like, keep these big events at like FanFest and at BlizzCon, because it's just these epic gaming moments, no matter what your game is. Like I watched League of Legends, and then Dota 2 has the international, these huge big events. But today my answer has changed, and that my answer is that I want to see more independent events, and I want the independent events to be the bigger events. And the reason why is because you don't want like just the whole professional scene around a game organized and held up by one pillar, because if that pillar is removed, everything comes crashing down. And the more you can spread that support for a scene up from many different angles, the less likely it is to fall apart. So an example of this, and I'm gonna, because I'm a big Blizzard fanboy, but I'm gonna use Blizzard's own words, because they were talking about there's a competitive scene about world first racing, and Blizzard came out and said that we're gonna do what we're gonna do because we have a huge broad audience that we want to find, entertainment for, right? But if you guys want to do a competitive scene to see who can race through it the fastest, that's, you guys go and do that. Because you guys created it to begin with. And so that's the way it really should be. Blizzard produces the game and gives us, or whatever company, Square or Riot, give us the game, and then let a different organization with many different support structures in place do the big events, because that way, if there's ever a problem, it doesn't come all crashing down.
I will answer the Final Fantasy 14 aspect of this. I don't think Final Fantasy 14 is there yet. I don't think their mind is on the point where it's saying, yes, we can look at our PvP and say that we can make this an esport. Will I say in a few years' time, could it be there? Yes, absolutely. But it's taken Blizzard years to get their PvP to where it is, and saying, like, I mean, they've had tournaments. They've always had the tournament.
Well, I wanted to point. I completely forgot about StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 in Korea is its whole. It's its own different entity. Like, Blizzard produces the game and provides the servers for them to play it, but their circuit and their rules for players and player acquisition, that's all handled outside. And I think that that's, let it be that way. Let it, because it develops more organically and it has more structure, so that you're, like I was saying, like, there's not just one pillar holding everything up, and if that pillar ever comes crumbling down, that's it, game over.
Yeah, and that right now, like, the only thing holding up Final Fantasy 14 PvP is Square. So that's the only pillar right now. And there's a lot of changes they need to make with PvP to make it so that it's not like, I'm telling you, there's some of the queues, man, like these queues are like 30 to 40 minutes, and I'm not willing to wait 30 or 40 minutes just to do one round. And it's not worth it. Like, they need to figure out, like, they need to look at other MMOs and figure out, like, how to fix their PvP first, and like get so people play it versus people not playing it. So that's my opinion, at least on the 14 stuff. Only having them at big events. So we kind of already talked about this. So I think we're both in agreement here. I think, like, having an outside company or outside source to handle the big events is the smart way of going at, because yet again, that goes back to just make the game fun and let everybody else handle it. So should other MMORPGs do the same and use their PvP as esports? I mean, I could say Ashes of Creation this month is taking to test their not only their combat in the game, they're taking their PvP and releasing it as a battle royale. So sure. I don't, yeah. I mean,
I would say, make sure that if you're gonna have PvP and you're thinking about an esport developing in the long run, just make sure that there are tools in place so that the community can run their own events and see what happens from there. Make sure that there's a spectator mode and that you can, form brackets. Do you have integrated voice for team captains and stuff like that? Does your game really provide the tools necessary for a competitive scene? And if they don't, add them and see what happens with that, if there is a competitive scene that develops on its own. And if there is a competitive scene, then you can think about, like, okay, well, what more can we do to support what's growing there? And if there isn't something growing there, is your game still fun? Well, then don't worry about it,
Yeah. What's your favorite esport event and why? I know what mine is.
BlizzCon. And if you want me to go to a specific game, it's World of Warcraft 3v3 Arena. And the funny thing is I was falling. I thought that it was getting a little stale, but there's just enough going on now that I really feel like it's fun to watch, especially when you get into a live, when you're seeing it live in a crowd with spectators. It's awesome.
For me, it's Evo, and we could probably like. I love Evo. I will watch it every single year. I will watch. It's just there's so much energy. There's different games going on, so you could be watching Smash Bros. You could be watching Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Just so many different fighting games and so many different players of those games. And it's so much fun. It's just a great sense of just competition, and there's a little bit of, and I love it, there's a little bit of smack talk, and still like a little bit like I kind of like from an esport, like sports in general, like almost like MMA where they're doing the weigh-ins and stuff. Like there's a little bit of like, like a little showmanship, and I kind of dig that. I dig that that's there.
I totally dig Sonic Fox, and I love that he won esport. What was it at the Game Awards? It was esport player of the year.
Yeah,
and he's got that same sort of edge to him that he's not afraid of being like, yeah, I'm better than you.
He'll talk mad crap and put on the whole furry suit and everything. And I love that. I love the confidence. I love the cocky attitude that he's got, and he's just like. I love playing video games. I love the best thing he said was, I love beating people at fighting games. Like that, it's such a great thing to say for like the attitude, the spunk. I love it. Esports scandals, like throwing big tournaments for money. For example, Paul Metal gave the CSGO example. It's entirely possible. I don't see what, like
yeah, StarCraft 2 has had people thrown out for fixing.
Yeah,
you got to throw them out. You've got to ban them for life. You've got to make it just clear that you can't have that in the game or in the competitive scene.
Yep. Do you think esports is hard to get into, being a player or staff? Well, I guess you can answer part of this.
Not at all.
There you go.
Okay, so here I'm going to qualify that a little bit. To find a paying job and a job that pays you enough that you can support yourself. Like, this is what I want to do full time as a profession. This is where this is where your career is going to be now and into the future. It can be difficult. But it's not impossible. You just have to make opportunities for yourself. There's a fine line between volunteering and being taken advantage of, and then volunteering and having fun with it. I think that for anybody, that's their own line to draw. Do I feel like I'm being taken advantage of? Where's that line for you? I do it for fun. And I mentioned earlier, I do it because I like being able to hear the players talk about things that they don't talk about to casters or to the audience at all. This is their private conversations, and I'm admin. I take that job very seriously. They're trusting me. I don't talk about what they talk about. I just get to listen.
See, I would be on the flip side. Like, I think I could probably get into esports. I don't know. Like if I practice more at fighting games, I could probably do it for fighting games. And if I practice more at Magic the Gathering Arena, I could probably do Magic the Gathering Arena. I think if it's just your dedication to the game you want it, like it's pretty much like a lot of focus. Like, this is going to be the game I know I'm going to, and you have to, and I assume it's just like anything else. Like, I learned to play guitar, but I knew that I had to put hours into learning an instrument. It's the same thing. I have to put hours into learning this game and knowing that game like the back of your hand. And if it's something like, do I want to play this on a level where it's like, this is the thing I play majority of my time during a week, versus I want to play this for a couple hours here and then maybe go play something else. Like Smash Bros just came out, so I want to go spend some time there. That's something you have to ask yourself. And I give players a lot of credit, because if they're playing Overwatch, they are playing hours and hours of Overwatch. Not to say they don't play anything else, but majority of their time is team practice, getting to know new characters, getting to know the ins and outs. If there's a patch, if somebody's nerfed or buffed, they have to look at that stuff and how that changes their character and how they changes their play. Like, all of that gets looked at.
Play on the PTR realm so that they know what changes are coming before they're even in the game. Yeah, and that's from a player point of view. I don't think it's necessarily difficult, but it's, I'm going to go back to Tiger Woods. What did he told his dad he wanted to be a pro when he was like 12 years old, and his dad took him seriously. And so I'm like, okay, but look at what all you're going to have to sacrifice to be the best in the world.
Yep. Sacrificed a lot. So what do you think the stress levels are in esports, and how do you think players deal with stress? You might be better at answering this question than I can, honestly.
No, and I think about this all the time, and I'm going to say that one of the things that we're lacking the most in esports is coaching. And that's coaching from the very lowest levels up until the mid levels, because once you go pro, especially like Overwatch has been making this big thing about how they have professional psychologists on the team to help with the mental health of the players, and to talk about that sort of, how are you feeling mentally to get prepared for the matches. But all the way from the very low levels, I feel that there's that's one of the things that the coach is supposed to help out with, not just how to manage stress, how to recognize stress, how to develop techniques to overcome the stress. And I think it's a huge, you're talking about like how to get into player and staff. Like, I wish there was an easier way to be like, hey, I feel like I'm a good coach. I don't want to tell you how to play the game better, but I think I can help you out in other ways. And I think that would help.
Let Flatus manage your team. I can't tell you how to play better, but I can tell you how to live your life a little bit better, and then it'll spread throughout everything else.
They made the joke about like the team mom, right? Like your soccer mom, right? But there really needs to be like a team dad, to be like, it's okay that you lost. Let's talk about it. It's okay. You did your best. Can you get better? What can we do better? It's not the end of the world. It's just one game. How do you pick yourself up and get ready for the next one?
Yo, I'm telling you, that's maybe I'm not made for esports playing. I am made for that. That's what I'm made for. I'm put on this earth for that. You just got to find me a team that'll take me. Just one. Thoughts on the esports movement, how esports itself is affecting esport. All right, hold on. Thoughts on the esport movement and how sports itself is affecting esports as a sport. I understand what he's saying. He's saying on the esports movement itself, how are sports? Well, you said it earlier. I think we're looking at the times now where, like, even though it's not only like where are all the young kids at watching everything, it's Twitch. Sports are realizing, yes, we need to be on Twitch, right? Like, it's affecting sports. Like, we need to get away from, like, yeah, we can still be on ESPN, but like esports started being on ESPN, and then people started talking crap about video games on ESPN, and all of a sudden now NFL's coming to Twitch, and they're like, hey, remember us?
Right. And what does and I'm going to put it out there. What does Twitch have that ESPN doesn't have, that NBC doesn't have? It has that interactive cheer emote, or interactive chat cheer emotes, so that you don't feel like you're sitting and passively watching. You get to actively participate in viewing the matches. And I think that esports is going to, I think that the esports recognize something earlier than traditional sports.
It's the camaraderie, and you can do that right from your home. What is the best thing about like going and watching sports live, right? Being in the stands, being with the other fans, talking crap, like cheering your team on. You can do that right here from your computer in Twitch chat, doing cheer emotes, chatting with other people, trolling a little bit. Like you do that right in the sports arena. You troll a little bit, you make fun of the other team, the other player. It's the same thing. And it's something that they've realized early on. We reinforce this in a digital space way early on. And now the chance for that to come for football is great, because now most people are sitting there like, hey, I'm going to watch the game, honey. But now you're interacting with other people and sitting there talking mad crap about the other team. Like, screw the Cowboys. and you're like, go Eagle.
And it should be pointed out that at least two of the teams that I know of off the top of my head, in Overwatch League, the Boston Rebels is owned by the Kraft Group, which also owns the New England Patriots, and the LA Gladiators is owned by the same group that owns the LA Rams. And I think that there's like a couple of League of Legends teams that are in part owned by professional basketball teams. People realize what's happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. They know where the money's going. You're chasing the money. It wouldn't be far off from any of us to see some. Man, it'd be so interesting in my lifetime to see like an esport at an Olympics. And
I'm sure it's close.
It's like skateboarding hasn't hit yet. Like I'm just pointing it out. Skateboarding has not hit the Olympics. Snowboarding, yes. Skateboarding has not hit the Olympics yet. If esports beats skateboarding, we can all pretty much count skateboarding out at that point. It is never gonna happen. All right. Let's see. Oaken asks, why have esports athletes and promoters adopted a fairly uniform, gaudy aesthetic, including ill-fitting polyester t-shirt uniforms? I feel so bad for and blinking peripherals. It looks like they're the offspring of a Monster Energy drink promoter and a NASCAR driver. Have any esport entities adopted an aesthetic that won't hurt esports athletes' chances of being laid? I mean, do you want to answer this one, or do you want me to take this one?
I showed it. I'm branded by the company that made our jerseys for my for the esports organization that I'm. Remember when we were talking about likes, follows? It's basically about visibility. And the thing is that traditional sports have those same things. They're less noticeable, but you'll still see that Nike swoosh, or I think Nike is the sponsor for the NFL, so you'll see the little Nike swoosh. Yeah, it happens because that's where teams get their money. Because what you're doing as part of an esport team is you're making a product that you're hoping to get other people to consume, and they consume it by viewing it. The problem with that is that there is no financial transaction between me performing, or not me putting on a production that you're viewing. So how do we get that value from it? And that's by slapping a Monster logo, and so that's why you see all of the patches and stuff like that. The other questions about the ill-fitting polyester, because I don't know, I like the jersey.
I would chalk it up to that. There's various because if you look at sports, players are usually physically fit. I'm not saying esports players are not physically fit. I'm just saying they're usually their uniforms are cut in a certain way that it fits their body, where the players they're gamers, right? So they're just like, here's a t-shirt and it's XL or it's 2XL, depending on, or a small, or whatever your size is, it's going to fit you. You're not filling it out unless you're working out and you're looking good and you're fit in that shirt and you're keeping a tight cut. I mean, you're coming out to do what you do best, is play that game, right? So that's where your focus is. I'm not saying that like there aren't players that don't work out and don't jog and don't do any of that stuff. I'm just saying like you're saying that like it's ill-fitting, but is it ill-fitting, or is it just here's an extra large shirt?
I was gonna put it out there. Go look at a high school football team compared to a pro team.
You got that one big kid who's like hit his growth spurt, and the shirt's like a midriff on him, but he's still wearing it anyway because the coach is like, well, we can't get new uniforms. You're stuck with that, buddy.
Or he like, he's like, I like this number. I'm gonna wear this number. And the school is like, this is the only jersey we have with that number on it. He's like, fine.
Fine. I don't care. Chances of being late. Listen, I can't speak for any of that. I'm sure they're all doing fine. I'm sure they're getting all whatever they're doing it, and good on them.
Hey, point of fact. The BlizzCon champions for World of Warcraft Arena this year, 2 of them are fathers.
There you go. So it's working. Listen, I'm single as shit. I just talk about video games on the internet. So.
Yeah, half of the winning team was married with kids.
Yeah, see? Don't do what I do. Go play video games and get really good at it. You'll get married. See? Dylan, our lovely producer, asks, esports is by and large dominated by male players. What is and could be done to encourage / promote more female esports gamers?
I am looking because I have 2 resources that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. There's a Deadly Blossoms Overwatch amateur team, and there is a World of Warcraft competitive esport Discord server for competitive female, Warcraft PvPers. Other than that, I don't know. Like they're creating the space. They're carving out their opportunities. I think for a while there was even going to be an all-female Heroes of the Storm team. I honestly feel like I really, really want to support them, but I don't want to. Like, I feel like I'm pushing myself into their spaces if I try too hard. If that makes sense,
it does.
If they're carving out their spaces for themselves, then if I, as a male, put myself and try and support them, aren't I putting myself in that? So I kind of, support them where I can from back here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the cheerleader, but I'm gonna be the cheerleader back here, wave my pom poms, be like, "You go, girl." Because, in all honesty, like I want to see more female players in esports. Absolutely, I think they have just as any right as the male players to do this, and they're great players out there. Yeah, you said the Death Blossoms, who I've seen play. I've seen them stream on Twitch. I've seen their play. They're fucking good. They're really good.
And professional Overwatch has one professional female player. She is on the Shanghai Dragons. Her name, God, I forget.
What is her name? I know you're looking it up because I was about to look it up too.
You look it up. I'll explain. She was accused of cheating at the game because her main character is Zaryu, not Zaryu. What is the
oh man. Where? Gaguri? No wait. Yeah, Gaguri. Gaguri. And she mains what's that? Zarya. Yeah.
Right. So what I did to help support is that the LA Valiant is the team that I follow. I have jerseys. I collect their team colors actually in the game because you can earn points towards getting the Overwatch team skins to customize your character while you're actually playing the game. And when Gaguri signed with the Shanghai Dragons, one of the first things I did was I have a Zarya Shanghai Dragon skin because I wanted to make sure that the people measuring the metrics saw that, like, oh look, people like that, this Zarya skin in the Shanghai Dragon colors. I wonder why that is. It's because that's a signature character for one of the only female player in Overwatch League and one of the only female gamers I know. Female professional gamers.
Yeah.
I know lots of female gamers.
Your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember she got she had to disprove her cheating twice. Twice. Not once, twice. That's how good she is. Which speaks so much about her level of play that an all-male team was, and that broke the mold right there. That's saying, like, listen, this isn't, I mean, that's a good example of saying it doesn't have to be male dominated. our teams can easily be interchangeable with any whatever you label yourself. You could, if you can be a part of this team as long as you have this skill. So just like you said, it's like they're carving out their own piece of the esport area for themselves. But I think at the same time, I think teams shouldn't just look at males. I think they should also look at like what's going on with these people coming in and carving out their own space, and how can they be added to our teams.
I love that what teams didn't do, though, is what the NFL did, which is like, oh, we're gonna have pink pastel colored jerseys to try and draw in a woman audience, right? Like they're like, no, we're gonna sign a woman. We're going to, there's professional, well, I call them semi-pro teams and communities out there for women gamers. Has nothing to do with like making a jersey of a pink color and calling it, well, we're drawing in the women's crowd.
Yeah, I'm happy nobody did that. I'm really happy nobody did that. Ugh. Although, I mean, I know some people that watch sports are like, I just watch for the butts.
Watch it for whatever reason.
All right. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to add about esports and what you're doing and?
Yeah. So again, we Resurgent Esports Broadcasting is the name of the organization I am part of. It's we do a Monday night in World of Warcraft, an open 3v3 tournament. And one of the things that makes this tournament special is that we've looked for all of the different ways that we can lower the barrier of entry into competitive PvP in Warcraft as low as we can. You don't have to show up with a team. You just show up and say, hey, I can play this character. Who wants to play with me? And the organizers of the team will try and put you into a team. We try to get as many teams formed as we can, and we stream it in a semi-professional manner. We organize it and administrate it in a semi-professional manner, which means that picking maps and picking comps is all part of the process, so that if you've never done that before, when you actually do compete for the first time for real, it's not your first time. You've done it as, part of the Resurgent tournament. We have the Gosu Cup, which is we are helping the Gosu crew, which is a StarCraft 2, and they have a World of Warcraft team. They're just doing a fun little 3v3 tournament, and they're starting that tomorrow, and I am going to be helping with that in some way. And then, like I mentioned, we're doing a 6v6 rated battleground, which is more objective based instead of death kill. And our first week was over last week, and then I think tonight they're doing their second week.
And yep. Thank you, Dylan. Dylan linked resurgence.b.com in chat, so you can check them out. I'm sure that's twitch.tv/resurgenceb. Is it the same thing?
I think so.
I'll let you look it up real quick so we can shout it out and get people to go there and watch.
Yeah. ESB. It's
ESB.
Esports Broadcasting.
Broadcasting. So Resurgent ESB, so Resurgent Esports Broadcasting, so ESB at the end of Resurgent. You go check them out. Know that Tamlyn is working there somewhere behind the scenes, listening to the players play, loving what he does. Of course, as we always say here, this is one of our very first episodes. We're doing something where we're discussing something that someone has a passion for, and it just happened to be a friend of the show and us in IRL. And I'm happy to have had Tamlyn here. I'm sure we will have you on again. I'm sure we will talk about esports again, and you will be here again. And Shin should be here next time. That would be a good show. I promise things won't blow up. And so do you want to go? Is there anything else you want to tell people where they can find you or anything like that? Follow you anywhere?
Twitter at Tamlyn.
There you go, Tamlyn. It's at TANNLIN. He tweets about plugging his Christmas tree into a smart device so he can turn it on and off from the bedroom, which is genius. Oddly,
I could turn it off right now just by telling it to turn it off. It's right over there, and the Echo is right over.
That's fantastic. Right about town, Blitzball. Yes, that's right. That'll be coming up. We'll talk about Blitzball when it's getting closer to Blitzball, but Dylan has already. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about it, but there's rumblings of Blitzball again for Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, so they did. So Dylan and our RP group set up a massive Blitzball tournament, and they did it via. There's no Blitzball in Final Fantasy XIV yet. So what they did is they RP did dice rolls to further moves and how they played. So they did, and they all had their own teams. Maelstrom Radio sponsored the Lemons and Bucks, the Buccaneers, which was an all-female pirate team. You know, as I do.
Nice.
So, and Dylan took it upon herself to make it a part of our Extra Life, and that's how one of the reasons why we reached over. I think we got over $1,000 in before even Extra Life even started. We were already at like $900 some odd. So thank you again, Dylan. That's how I got Dylan to be our producer. I was like, Dylan did this. I want Dylan to join us. $1,145 to be exact. She said. See, this is why she's our producer. She does.
Counting.
Yep. So any last minute thoughts on esports and anything else we discussed about today? No.
What about you though? What are you looking forward to watching in 2019 calendar?
2019.
What
All
event?
Right. I'm looking forward to Sonic Fox hold down his title in Evo. I think he had a really good year. I'd like to see him do it again. Like, I like that it was an American player. Not only that, he was a furry. He's also LGBTQ plus. He's gay. Like, he ticked off all the boxes and was still so confident and cocky. And I loved it. Loved every minute of it. I'd love to see more of that. So of course, Evo. But you know what? I'm a little excited for like Magic the Gathering and a digital space. And I'd like to, because not to say Magic the Gathering ever went away as a popular thing, because the cards still sell well. They still do Magic the Gathering nights at my local shop. They do them everywhere. I just think that now getting to see Magic the Gathering streamed, like we talked about earlier, that interaction and getting to talk with players and stuff like that, I think it's going to be super interesting and open up the game again to a lot of people. Because I remember when Magic the Gathering first came out, and it was super popular. I remember the commercials, like people playing in cafes and stuff, and they're like busting out their decks, and you're like, yeah, I gotta get that starter pack. And I would love to see that happen again, because I think if there is a time to do it, now is the time to do it. And it's going to be interesting to see if Wizards of the Coast can and actually back it up and make it happen.
What platforms is it available on? Is it just PC?
No, it's mobile as well.
Yeah, see, I think that's where we're going to see a lot of growth in esports. Is what can we do with this little thing?
You guys don't have phones?
Yeah.
They asked the right question. It's just at the wrong panel.
For me, I think you're right about like fighting games are always fun to watch. I'm interested to see where Magic the Gathering goes now that it has like it's relaunching itself in a digital space in a better way. For StarCraft 2, we have our first non-Korean champion, and he didn't just win last year. He freaking tore up the standings, dominated all year long. I want to see Cyril do it again.
You know what I thought about? I didn't think about it till just now. Is Warcraft 3 is getting an HD makeover, and yes, yes, Warcraft 3 online multiplayer. Just, I would love to see that come back, or Resurgence in that game. Just with updated graphics. It's right before.
So Kai Lust has never played through Warcraft 3, so she'll get to play through it for the first time in HD. And I'll get to play through the Frozen Throne expansion because
I'm excited because they already said like, oh, we went back and redid the maps to make it more. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, now I have to play this because it's all new. It's all new. Same story, it's all new. All right, well, as always, where you can find us in games, well, Smash Brothers. I've been tweeting out my Switch friend code, so go add me and let me humble you with Captain Falcon, is as I'm gonna put it. Or let me find out why I'm so good at Kirby. I don't know why I'm good at Kirby, but apparently I am. Also, gravity kills me more than anything in that game. I will kill myself before you kill me, as I come to find out. So you can find us on Nintendo Switch. That's about Shin and I don't know if Shin's tweeted out his Switch friend code, but he should do that. We'll make sure like all of our stuff is on our website where you can like add us to things. You can find me, of course, you can find us here weekly Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 9:30 Eastern. We're recorded shows go up on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And of course, you can email us at show@maelstromradio.com. So if you have any questions, concerns, or if you have ideas for our show, please let us know. Our Discord is on our website. Go give us a link. Go give us a follow. You happen there. We have a lot of discussion in our general chat. We're talking about esports a little bit earlier, the outfits and the so oddly enough, also what other people wear. You can find us at Maelstrom_radio. You can find us on Facebook.com. That's /Maelstrom Radio. And of course, you can find us here on Twitch.tv /Maelstrom Radio. Thank you all for joining us here. Tamlyn, you want to say goodbye one last time?
Bye, everybody.
All right. I'm going to do this. It worked. I love these buttons and do want to play our little thing so everybody can hear it. So, thank you all for joining us for episode 102. I really do appreciate it. Had such a great discussion about esports today. I'm definitely going to have another esports chat. Make sure Shin's here. Make sure Tamlyn's back for that. Like always, follow us and follow our friends. And yet again, thank you for letting us talk with you. Still don't know what saying for when we leave, but I'll figure it out sometime soon. But until then, keep your extra lives going and keep gaming.
Maelstrom Radio is a production of MaelstromRadio.com and Blackfire Media Productions. Today's episode is produced by Flatus, Shinter, and Dylan Thorne. Logo and artwork by Mary Larkins. Find them over at themarylark.com. Intro and outro provided by MDK. Find his music over at mdkofficial.bandcamp.com. Views and opinions expressed on this episode belong to Maelstrom Radio and their hosts and do not reflect the views and opinions of the companies discussed on today's show.